Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope you enjoy watching the videos and don't forget to subscribe. Now let's start the first story.
Me, 31F, with my husband, 35M, married 2 years together for 10, and he doesn't want his kids to be like me. This morning I told my husband that his mom's good friend passed away. He was upset both about the passing, but mostly with me for telling him on his way to work. He said, "Are you King retarded?" and told me that he didn't want his kids to turn out like me. We don't have any kids yet. He thinks I have no empathy. I told him this morning because my mother tends to wait until she thinks it's the right time to tell me about deaths and other uncomfortable things, and I think it's very controlling. Also, he's always told me that he wants to know things right away, but he was mad at me because now he's gonna be upset all day at work. Which I get, now, but I really felt like I was doing the right thing for him. We are good most of the time, but he's going through a really stressful patch right now. I've been trying to shoulder a lot of the stress, let him take it out on me, etc. I just feel so bad for ruining his day, and I honestly feel like sometimes I'm ruining his life. I don't know what to do. I don't want to get divorced, but I don't want him to feel like this. He says I'm bringing nothing to our relationship when I feel like I do so much for him. I am willing to answer any other questions to clear things up. I honestly don't know what I am looking for by posting here. I just feel really lost. He's shooting the messenger. In truth, I wouldn't want kids like him. Are you King retarded is so wrong on so many levels. Just saying that to another person at all, let alone a spouse, shows an immature person with a chip on their shoulder and a terrible inability to cope with adult situations. He's not ready for kids. In his currently maturity level, he will say that to your kids someday at some inappropriate time, and I'll tell you from personal experience, saying things like that to anyone, especially your own children and spouse, will cause the person you say it to incorporate that voice as part of their own inner monologue, and saying he doesn't want kids like you is an extremely immature swipe at you. You did nothing wrong and have every reason to demand an apology without any justification or rationalization on your part. That nasty comment is an unfortunate tell of his character. Did you at least try to bring it somewhat tactful? Prepare him for the bad news you were going to give him? Because that does sound somewhat blunt and emotionless. It's still an overreaction and he should never call you retarded, but in combination with the work stress I can at least somewhat understand his frustration. I think you should sit him down, tell him how his insult was hurtful and that while you understand he's stressed, he shouldn't take it out on you, and for you next time, timing is kind of important. It's better to wait a few hours until someone has the time to deal with the news than to spring it on them the first moment you can. Cheated on once, granted, she kept up with the time, but "are you retarded" is probably one of the most disrespectful statements you could ever say to your partner or anyone. I don't know about other people, but if that was me, I'd pretty much just stop the car, hop out, and go home. That shit. If this is how he normally reacts under stress, he needs to figure out how to work on that. Cat Nye, and reading the rest of the post, holy shit, it's like I'm back home again. Red flags all over the place, smiley face. Seriously though, let him take it out on me, afraid I'm ruining his life. He says I bring nothing to the relationship. Are you fucking retarded? Translation: you should have anticipated my reaction in advance and always know exactly what things I have going on inside my head. It's your responsibility to manage my moods. My social awkwardness sounds like one epic sunk cost fallacy. He squeezed every last drop of self-esteem out of Opie during that 10 years and then did her a favor by marrying her. He has a lifetime hostage to take his stress out on, and she has to live in perpetual fear of making the wrong guess about his mood. Meanwhile, most of these things he decides retroactively, so there's no winning. He explains the reason for his reactions after he has had all the information and decided what he wanted to hear as opposed to what he heard, and Opie has no options but to always come out as the party at fault. I know how this works. Do it long enough and you do start feel guilty for merely existing because the other person can just walk in on you reading a book or whatever and start accusing you of shit based on you not knowing what they wanted you to do instead, and how your reading a book was selfish and or hurt their feelings. Next time you see a book you like, you're gonna feel guilty just for thinking about liking something. Now extrapolate this to everything else. This is one miserable existence where you can never win. Splice_my_jeans, does he speak to you like this often? If so, this is classic emotional abuse. You are not ruining his life, he's responsible for his own problems. If he treats you like this regularly, I suggest you leave for your own good. There is no fixing an abusive relationship, however, if this is a rare occurrence, then it probably has to do with his reaction to the news. It is not your fault. Unless you're leaving something huge out of this story, you really didn't do anything wrong at all. He's reacting in a bad way, and a good husband would soon apologize. However, understand that he probably just doesn't know how to process this information, and is unfairly taking it out on you, but again, if this is common, get out. This is not a normal way to treat your so. OP, I wouldn't say he speaks to me like this. He often says, "What is wrong with you?" to which I really have no reply, and I don't know what he is trying to achieve by asking me that over and over. I told him I don't like it when he says that and there is nothing wrong with me, and he tells me not to act in a way that makes him say that. Splice_my_jeans, yeah, I'm sorry to have to say this, but that is very, very wrong. I know you have been with him for a long time, and the way he treats you must feel normal. Maybe you even feel like you deserve it sometimes. But you don't. This is not the way a healthy relationship works. If someone else was telling you that her husband treats her this way, would you condone it? Of course not. But it's more difficult to see the reality when you are in the relationship. Instead of observing it, you have the rest of your life ahead of you. Don't waste it on this guy. He treats you terribly, and you don't have to put up with it. When you leave, it will feel like a weight has lifted off of your shoulders. You will wonder why you didn't do it earlier. Get rid of him. Go be free. Surround yourself with loved ones that treat you well. Unfortunately, your husband is not one of them. It's time to make him an ex. It took me 3 more years, but I finally left him last year. This post helped me see how much was wrong in our relationship, but I was still so hesitant to leave. We had pets and a beautiful home together, and I loved his family, and we had so many inside jokes and plans for the future, but eventually it was all just too much for me to take any longer. The day after his parents' 50th anniversary party, I told him I wanted a divorce. I just couldn't see myself living like that for 50 years. I moved from the suburbs to the city with a friend. I rekindled some old friendships from high school and made a bunch of new friends who I am so thankful for. He kept the dog, I took the cats. I thought my life was ending, but it was just beginning. I told my very religious family, and they were all understanding and supportive. I've maintained friendships with a good number of our mutual friends, friendships I was worried about losing. I'm working on my master's degree in volunteering and experiencing life and love and art and beauty like I never thought was possible. I met a guy at a friend's punk rock show and we hit it off, but we are taking things very slowly. He is wonderful and so kind to me. If you are in an abusive relationship, please don't be afraid to leave. It gets so much better. I still miss him from time to time. I feel guilty about getting divorced, guilty for wasting my parents' money on a failed marriage. I miss his parents. I miss my dog, but I am so much happier. My future feels uncertain, but that is better than feeling like a death sentence. Thank you so much to everyone who offered advice and sympathized and even had harsh words for me deciding to stay. Shimmy_doodle, congratulations. I'm so very happy for you for changing how your story ends. Please keep telling others so more people can be inspired to leave abusive relationships like you have. It must have taken so much courage to take that leap, but so worth it. And I totally understand where you came from and where you're going. My child's father would ask me such deprecating questions too. He broke me till one afternoon I was so low I hurt myself without thought, believing I deserved to be punished because I struggled to make him happy. But the moment I felt the pain, I realized I was hurting myself for someone who obviously doesn't love me, when I should be healing myself for my child's life. I eventually left him a few months later, and my life soared after that. 7 years later I now have a happy home to myself and my little one with our cat. I spend my days free to do what I want without walking on eggshells. My skin itself has cleared up because I'm not drinking as much, and my stress levels are down 1,000,000%. I've created hundreds of pieces of happy art, and best of all, I met an amazing man who takes care of me and respects me, who is everything I ever wanted. It gets so much better. Mystery_bitch. Good for you, OP, and thank you for the update. Sometimes it is so hard to leave unbalanced situations like that because at least you feel like you know your situation, and that can feel better than the unknown. I know how horribly he'll react to this, so I can prepare for it. I know to walk on eggshells, so I am ready for it. you do your best to act as your partner's handler, like some kind of lion tamer. But relationships should not be like that. I am happy for you. Kristen named, as someone who left an abusive relationship as well, I agree with much of this. Being uncertain if your future is so much better than being unhappy. I think I was so afraid of the uncertainty, of ending up alone, of losing people, etc., that I didn't even see how freeing uncertainty is. If things are uncertain, it means you can choose so many directions, and there are so many possibilities. Uncertainty feels like freedom once you leave a controlling and abusive situation. I never realized that when I was still in it.